Hi, I'm August Keller, and this is my review of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So whenever I am not a fan of big popular blockbuster movies like this, I feel like I have to address a few things. Just because there's the inevitable talking points that I have to answer to. So I just want to do that now before I get into the review. So, this is a movie for kids. I don't know how to have fun. I'm taking it too seriously. Why can't we just turn our brains off and have fun with this movie? You can do that. I am happy for you if you like this movie. But I'm here to evaluate filmmaking. That's like my whole goal with all of this. That is fun to me. And for what it's worth, I don't think this movie is all that fun. So, and also a movie for kids can still be good. I don't think that makes it immune to criticism, even if it's targeting children. So I don't like to turn my brain off. I think it's more fun to be intellectually engaged. So there's all that. So that all being said, let's break down why I feel the way I do about this movie. So I think Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is empty commercialism. It's just, it's about the product first and the story comes second. I know a lot of people will point to the fact that this movie has some tragedy in it. There's actual sad moments. And they'll point to that and say that this movie is legitimate. I've seen that with other movies in the past. It kind of reminds me of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 or the Revenge of the Sith. Those movies, I think, are not very well-made movies, and most of the script is all over the place in both of those movies. But each movie has a sad moment, so that makes it legitimate to some people. I think, like with those movies, this movie doesn't really earn that sad moment. It goofs around for a lot of the movie, has one scene where it sets up the sad moment, goofs around some more, and then pays off that sad moment. For a sad moment to really have emotional impact, it needs to be developed throughout the story. So instead, the movie really prioritizes this meandering plot instead of developing that drama. So instead of really building to these emotional impacts, it just kind of whiplashes between cliches. So there's a sad moment, and then the very next scene is Jim Carrey being silly, and it's whoa! It's very jarring to have those two things literally back to back. So there's that. And beyond that, the script just has a lot of other problems. A big problem to me is that the protagonist, Sonic, is basically a blank slate. And when the only character trait he consistently has is that he's making a farce out of everything. He's never taking anything seriously. So how am I supposed to take anything seriously? And I know, again, this is supposed to be a fun movie, but he is never actually threatened, so there's no threat, there's no tension. The movie is weightless because of how he's treating everything, until suddenly the movie needs him to take something seriously, so suddenly he's taking things seriously. So from scene to scene, he just is whatever the script needs him to be. And that's not a protagonist I can get invested in. I can't relate to that because he's nothing. He's a blank slate. That just is something different every scene. Also, there's trite humor. I think the humor is very broad and very basic. It doesn't have a personality. It's just jokes that we've all heard before that, market research says works. Okay. There's exposition dumps. There are excessive characters, like Knuckles and Tails are there because they were in the previous movies. But, if we were actually starting to write a story, those characters can be condensed into one character. And that goes for James Marsden's character and his wife. They're completely useless. There's saccharine platitudes. So the movie tries to have themes built around that tragedy in the movie, but those themes aren't very insightful. It's just saying things that are just broad isms, like revenge is bad. Okay, do you have any more insight than that? Like, what about in these circumstances, or why exactly is revenge bad? Or what's a better way to handle these kinds of feelings? It's not thoughtful. It's just saying something that no one can really argue with. Like, don't be mean. That's not a, is that a theme? You know, there are a lot of digressions. Entire scenes are just there seemingly to be turned into like memes. Like there's like a dance sequence that completely halts the story so that the movie can have a dance sequence that some people I'm sure will say is fun, but I was just waiting for it to be over because it's pointless. There are a lot of contrivances, of course. I mean, the whole story is just a big ball of contrivances. Predictable formulas. The whole movie goes beat by beat. It's following market research, and there are no consequences. Whenever there are scenes where the characters, where Sonic suddenly is changed and he's motivated, but that thing that motivated him is not going to last, and they're going to take everything back as soon as the movie's over. The acting is void of vulnerability. There's no vulnerability whatsoever. It really reminds me of like a sitcom almost. How staged every acting performance is. Everyone is just like, oh gee and shucks. It's like Leave It to Beaver level of sanitized. So yeah, it's like painful to watch. So yeah, it's haphazardly mixing these marketable tropes, and Sonic the Hedgehog 3 just ends up being this like sterile product. Technically, it's very unmotivated mania. It's just like erratic, and it's just going fast. And instead of like, I think it knows that doesn't have anything really of substance or of style, so it's just going to move really fast and be loud and colorful and chaotic, and it's just going to do more and more and more, and that is just quantity over quality. The direction seems to like intentionally avoid real tones. Like I said, whenever there is like a sad moment, it goes right into some comedy right afterwards. So it seems to be just like aiming for fluff. It wants people to feel nothing, because if it actually made people feel intense actual emotions, it might make someone uncomfortable. That's the vibe I'm getting from the direction here. The cinematography is half basic and half cluttered drabness. So it's like just regular, just shot for efficiency, and then the climax is just full of like grays and like why are all the blockbusters like this? I feel like I say this so often, but it's just a lot of grays, a lot of dark under lighting, and just a lot of like too much junk in the frame. The sound has expected genre elements, so good job, I guess. The music is a random collection of trivial pop songs. Just, hey, this song is a song that people know. Maybe that'll make them like the movie. It doesn't mean anything in relation to what's happening with the characters internally, but that's because nothing is happening with the characters internally. Not really, not most of the time. The production design is very generic. I know people are going to be like, well, it has the recognizable merchandising, it has Tails, it has Sonic, but it just takes those things and puts them in the movie. I'm not impressed by that. And everything around it is very generic and forgettable. Like the locations and like the government entities that they're working with. It all is just forgettable. The cast has fame, but that's undermined by arbitrary fit. Oh, it's Keanu Reeves. Okay. I didn't really notice that being him, to be honest. Oh, it's Idris Elba, okay. I mean, I guess Jim Carrey is doing Jim Carrey stuff, but I don't know. He's always doing that kind of stuff, and honestly, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. I found him kind of distracting, honestly. The CGI, speaking of distracting, the CGI is convincing at times, and other times not so much. It's very inconsistent, and it's also overused. Like entire shots, like there's just one human standing here, and then they're surrounded by a CGI background. Why? Why can't they be in a real place? Why do they have to CGI all that? It just makes everything look artificial and glossy, and there's like a sheen to it that I'm not a fan of. So, although it showcases a popular intellectual property in Sonic the Hedgehog, I think Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is messy. It's a messy movie, and maybe you like it, and I'm sorry to disagree, but I really did not enjoy much of it at all. There was not really ever a moment where I was having fun with it. So yeah, if you like what I like, if you have similar sensibilities to me, then I don't think there's really anything here for you. All right, well, that's all I have to say about that. If you like what I'm doing here, please feel free to like and subscribe. I also have an Instagram linked in the description. I'd love support there or here. But at the very least, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time. Okay, thanks.